welcome to the GameFace MPNFL Netball Show. After last week's mid-season wrap-up, we'll make it a nice short and sweet show this week, we promise, if we can get our words out properly. We did love hearing your feedback, guys, from last week, so that was fantastic. Keep it coming. Do you think we got it right about your club, or perhaps you're a dark horse and went under the radar and you're happy about that? Let us know definitely in the comments or inbox the GameFace Netball page. We're definitely looking forward to what the rest of the season have got in store, so can't wait. Let's get things started now by looking at the standout games from last week. What did we have in Div 1, Lou?
Yeah, look, Rosebud smashing Bombers. I think they took a little bit from our little rap last week and went on the court and showed us just why they are one of the dominant clubs this season. The C-grade game, though, was 1 point difference. So I think 1 point to Rosebud, which Bombers would have been like to get across the line, but unfortunately it's another tight one for them. Yeah, they've lost a couple
So did any of those injuries that we spoke about last week play into that scoreline, do you think? Because they were missing a few players, weren't they? Yeah,
possibly. Tars may be missing from there. She plays a lot in the C-grade centre court, so that could have definitely had an impact in it. I don't think Sarah's been up in between a few different grades this season.
Yep.
She's going away overseas, so they've just utilised her probably where they need to. So I'm not sure she would have had as bigger impact as maybe Tars missing from the C-grade team.
Yep. Any of the injuries, did they hit the A-grade?
Someone else. Yes, but they seem to be all right. I think
they've got the depth through that A-grade side.
Yep. Well, I think Rosebud, no matter when they come up against them, was going to give them a run for their money.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Mornington cemented their top spot with the win against Dramana, so I think it was about 10 goals in the end. But we were watching the games on the app, and at three-quarter time, I think we all were looking, Sorrento were losing to Pines by about 10 goals on the app. And I know that my girls were very closely watching that going, they're playing Sorrento next week.
Yeah, there's a chance.
We've got this. But they were very much hoping Sorrento got up, so they weren't as hungry for the win this week, but I'm sure they'll still be out there. So Sorrento got up across the line by 4, and a big shout out to our girls at YC coming across with their first 4 from 4 against Long Beach. So pretty convincing wins in A, B and D grade, and C grade was a little bit closer, but it was
Long Beach is super strong in C grade though, so that's still a really good win.
Strong. They've got some great height assets there that you can't really shut down very often. But credit to my girls, they played one of their best games I've seen them play, so it was a really good weekend.
Well, the clubs love it when they can get all of the wins across the board, because it's really hard to achieve, so I hope you celebrate it.
It was our first one for the year, and unfortunately it was an away game and the boys let us down with the ones going down, so haven't been able to get a 7 from 7 yet, so happy hours coming.
A little bit of a surprise for your ones, I think, too, wasn't it?
No.
No?
Once they learn to start kicking goals,
okay,
it'll be less a surprise.
Lift your game.
Just a minor point of that game.
I think when we got over there, it was something like 3-11. So
boy,
something like that.
Not going to get the win.
Oh gosh.
All right, and how about Div 2, Christy? What did we see?
Across Div 2, there was actually really no surprises through the games in Division 2. So a couple of close ones where Langwarren versus Devon Meadows, with Devon Meadows just coming across with a 3-goal win in C grade. At my courts on Saturday, there was our D grade was a really tough game, and it surprises me the amount of support that the D grade girls get. I don't know if it's the same across all clubs, but everyone rallies around our D grade girls, and they had a really tough game against Red Hill and only came away with a 2-goal win. So that was fantastic, because that really is starting to build some momentum across for that team. And again in the B grade, Seaford versus Chelsea. So Seaford getting across the line there. So 47-45. So other than that, pretty much there was blowouts across the competition, unfortunately, which
blowout day.
Yeah, it was a blowout day, and I think
in Div 1 too. So,
so I just think it just happened to be the way that it was fixtured that round.
There's a bit more distinction happening between the top and bottom, do you think?
Yeah, potentially. I think it just might have been the way that the fixture was, that in all grades it was a top versus a bottom style.
And it was a great day for netball, so weather was superb. So
It was a nice
We
day to
cannot
play netball.
complain again. We cannot complain about the weather we've had for the last 2 rounds being in winter. It's just been amazing. Our courts are typically quite slippery, and if you're playing first up, the mildew and everything hasn't come off the courts. But by the time A and B rolled around, it was just pristine conditions, and you couldn't ask for anything better. So I will do a shout out though. Our D grade girls did come away with a win by 2 goals. But across the board, Red Hill, now I love going down to Red Hill. I enjoy visiting the wineries down there. But I tell you, the girls from Red Hill, whatever they put into those vines to make the wine so good, they're putting into their players as well. Every single girl across the board, I think, was a good 6 foot tall. Maddie Handegraaff came onto the court in A grade, and you look, on the court, she looked like she was about 7 foot tall. There was just height across every team, and our girls were just on the sidelines, and they're just like, what is going on? So there's something going on in Red Hill. The soil is obviously very
rich,
very rich, and it's growing those girls down there. But thankfully the D girls, they were about able to get around the height and come away with a win. But gee whiz.
Yeah, that's like us. We always come across teams who are like, we're so short.
Feel your pain. So moving on now to our swordfish, wine bar and tapas match of the round. This was the Div 2 clash between PSL and Hastings. How did we go, Christy?
Yeah, so we selected this game particularly because the 2 teams that were playing, both PSL and Hastings, not necessarily sitting up in finals contention at the moment, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't going to be a great game. And sometimes it's just nice to have something to play for, between some of those lower games.
And this was the D grade game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So, we really just wanted to give these girls an opportunity to have something extra to play for, and we thought it was going to be a really close game. Unfortunately, it wasn't really the case. So Hastings, whether they played out of their skins or whether PSL didn't have a great day, but Hastings came away with that win 35-8. So that's definitely
Big
going to
win.
that's definitely going to keep Hastings, I would say, above them on the ladder. And the best on court for that game was Jamie Gay, who played in goal attack. So she's had a fantastic start to her season and was the deserved winner of the Swordfish Wine Bar and Tapas Best on Court Award.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Jamie. So moving on now, we've got our new topic for tonight. We're at the halfway mark of the season, and there have been a few reoccurring topics that we keep hearing from you guys coming in. So a few more comments that are all around the same sort of topic. And can you enlighten us, Lou, as to what that is?
Yeah, that's right, Sam. Like a lot of the time, one of us will have a comment about the same thing, a message from you guys that are pretty much all about ultimately responsibility. Whose responsibility is it to do this? Is it the umpires? Whose the responsibility is it to know the rules? Implementing the rules. It's across a wide range of different, but ultimately comes down to responsibility and who knows the rules compared to who doesn't.
Across all grades, all clubs, all divisions. Yes.
Divisions. There's not a week that goes by, I don't think one of us gets a question, what about this? And it's like, well, that's the actual rule. So
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on this, guys? Where does the responsibility lie?
Look, in the end, when you take the court, you have the responsibility of having an understanding of both the general netball rules, but also the bylaws that are within our MPNFL competition. So there are those bylaws that sit above and beyond the standard rules, and it's definitely a player's prerogative to understand what that is before they take the court. And I'm sorry to say, but that's for all grades. So
yeah, whether you're playing under 17s, A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade, whatever grade it is, you're the player, you've taken on board to play this game and play in this competition. So it's actually your role to know the rules that surround your competition.
Yeah.
The ins and outs of it. Yes, there are some intricate details, but they're widely available, and you don't have to know every single rule off the top of your head. But main rules like injury time, when to call a blood rule, things like that. It really is your responsibility to know it.
Yeah, and I think just to have particularly, I know that if you're announced as a captain at the start of the year, you may just think that that means that you flip the coin at the start, sign the score sheet at the end, and there's your jobs and responsibilities finished. Or you might go and do a bit of a presentation at the end of the year. But there's more to it than that. And so the captain is the person who can approach an umpire if there's a decision that they want to query at any of the breaks. But also, I think the captains really need to step up to be able to have a clear understanding if their teammates are questioning what's going on, to be able to call them in line and say, look, guys, either don't worry about it, just get on with it, or no, this is what the rule is, and let's play on.
Yeah, it baffles me sometimes when players are arguing with an umpire mid-game. The umpire's not concentrating on that call anymore. They've moved on because the play's moved on. You need to move on as well.
Yep.
But it's not, no one has the right to question a call in the middle of the game. Obviously, there's going to be some frustration that comes into it sometimes, and that's allowed. But you can't stand there and have a 5-minute chat with the umpire just because you disagree.
Let's call time. I just want to have a little bit of a conversation, please.
And then continue walking up the court, talking to them. And I 100% agree with you when captains, their responsibility is to their team and making sure that they're towing the line in that responsibility behaviour.
Yeah.
And I think too, I mean, if there is a question around an umpire decision, it doesn't make sense to me to question the umpire directly. It would be something that you would talk about with your team at quarter time, 3/4 time, whatever it is, whatever the next break is, and address it after the game. There's nothing you can do in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know about you, Christy, but I get this quite often. My girls will come off the call, they can't do that. Yes, they can. They actually haven't done anything wrong. There was one...
Yes.
Or even the opposition, I think it was like not a played ball, hand on the ball, and the player hadn't done anything wrong because they were just following the ball as the goaler was moving. You can't do that, and all you could hear was that, but they actually can. Unless you're putting pressure on the ball, it's not contact on the ball. So it's just little rules like that sometimes people don't, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, maybe you might not have been able to do that in 1998. The rules have changed.
Can I say too, like since joining the panel here, it's been fantastic for me because I'm learning more about these things as well. They're things that, sometimes when you just go and you play those lower grade netball, you just jump on and you just play the game and you sort of forget about those little nuances, but you're learning more and more, as we go along. And I know we've addressed the calling time rule before on the show, and I feel like it's empowering as a player to know that. Now I know, okay, if something happens, I know that I can call time and this is how I do it. So I think that sort of thing is important to talk about. So do you guys know, do you have anything specific within your clubs where you actually do discuss these things?
Yeah, we're lucky enough that we've got quite a lot of umpires within our playing group. So if there is anything that's coming through that I'm seeing as a trend that either players aren't understanding, whether it be from my club or if it's the opposition, I just take the opportunity of having our umpires clarify that through our personal Facebook page, whether it's just a snapshot what that particular rule is so that they can read through it, or demonstrations or whatever that may look like, just because, again, it disappoints me when my players are questioning an umpire's decision, but it also, it's really tiring when it's happening week in, week out, whether it be from our club or whether it be from the opposition club. It's like we just need to understand it, because that's going to make the game better, and we're going to be able to. I think it's going to make it a more enjoyable game. It's when people don't understand the rules that they become frustrated, and then all of the other areas of that then creeps in. So then, aggression may start coming out in a player because they're feeling frustrated, and so they are retaliating by playing potentially differently than what they would normally do, talking back to their own teammates, talking back to their coaches on the sidelines. So it all kind of stems from not having that knowledge in the first place.
Also an understanding that it is an interpretation. So we all interpret things different. So my interpretation to 3 feet is going to be different to yours. Our eyes see different things. So you can't. If an umpire may have a long 3 feet or they may have a short one, but if they're being consistent, you've got to play to that.
Correct.
And
that's right. At the end of the day,
frustrated, annoyed at the umpire is they're not going to change their mind.
That's right. And at the end of the day, it's the umpire who is controlling the game. And if we don't have an umpire, we don't have a game. So if you're disrespecting the umpire, then you clearly don't want to play the game.
And I'll put my hand up. I haven't umpired a game other than the old scratch match or anything like that. There's no way that I can do it. It is a hard job. And
I hate doing it even at training.
and I know. Look, our umpires can come off the game. And there might have been some argy-bargy out on the court and some little bit of feedback coming from the sidelines, and they'll go, was I missing something? What is going on? And the umpires in the breaks are often, communicating with their other umpire to say, is there something that I'm not seeing? Why are the players getting frustrated? So, but I'd be interesting to know. I played a game during the week at a local competition. And the umpiring there, pretty much if I sneezed, my opponent was going to get a penalty. So as a defender, I almost just threw my hands up in the air and said I might as well just sit down on the bench. Whereas in comparison, our football netball competition, I think, does have some amazing umpires that let us contest the ball and really does play it to its to its best. But if you have come, and I'll throw this out to everybody and to see what they think, but I think if you play a lot of that potential netball through midweek and you are always waiting for a whistle because effectively you're getting it every single time that there's any type of contest, you then come onto our court and you don't get that whistle. The discrepancy sometimes between competitions can really be hard for players to adapt to.
Yeah, 100%. And that's probably frustrating for other people watching it. It's like, well, why did you stop? No whistle went. This is what you think happened. And it may not have happened. They might not have seen it like that because there's all other things going on, or they might see a retaliation and then they don't see the front move. There's so many things to take into consideration when you're an umpire. We don't have a lot of them because it is a hard job. And people don't understand the rules and then, as we've said, talk back, do things like that. But I know I say to my girls, how many mistakes, if they come off the court and frustrated at an umpire, how many mistakes did you make in that quarter yourself?
Yeah, how many obstructions, steppings, contacts, etc., etc.
That you think you actually did.
That's right.
And when they take a step, an umpire's
so you're a perfect player or a perfect it's the same.
And the other one we always ask at the start of the season is, have you actually umpired before? Because until you've done it yourself and understand how hard it is, you really can't comment on it because you don't know.
Absolutely, great point.
Like.
And I think there's a lot of merit in players, even just for that basic understanding, basic level umpiring course, to complete that so that you can actually read through the rules and actually understand it.
And play to it because you know, like
That's
once you have a better understanding, it's going to improve your game.
It takes away that frustration, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
By all means, you're going to get frustrated still, but it really is getting tiring to hear the same things over and over again.
Yeah, so guys, go and learn what the blood rule is. Go and learn what it means if a player is is calling for an injury. What happens if someone's injured and somebody else calls the injury time on the court? Understand what those rules mean, what the connotations are, what the how that will affect you, and be better prepared, have more knowledge, and I think everybody's going to have a better game of netball.
Absolutely. So some great things to consider there, guys, and we'd love to hear how you guys go at your clubs. Do you have any education, within your club about these rules? Are there things where, is it up to your coaches? Is it up to your captains? Who actually, fills you in on these things? We'd love to hear. So definitely jump on the page and let us know. So moving on now, it's time for our new segment, Netflix and Skills. First up, we've got something a little different this week. We've actually got a question from a viewer. The question is, if I don't feel like I'm getting enough court time, how do I raise this with my coach? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
I've had this raised with me plenty of times. And I've also been on the receiving end, unfortunately, to some very upset, disappointed players that don't get court time, and whether that be in the big ticket item matches, grand finals, etc., or just throughout the season. So it is difficult, but my advice would be have the conversation with your coach.
you can't do anything about it if you just sit back and
Fester on it.
Fester on it. It's much more, as a coach, I love it when a player comes to me and has a question about if it's their game time and they're not getting enough, or if they think and I'm like, you know what, who would, and I had it a couple of times in previous years, and I'm like, well, who would you select, who are you taking out of the team to put yourself on?
Oh, wow, that's a risky question. Because I'm going to say there'd be a lot of players who just go, no, well, I should be starting.
But then sometimes they look at it and you give them the other, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, well, once you start looking at it from a different angle, you can sometimes see why maybe you aren't getting the court time that you think you might be getting. I know it is frustrating for some players that don't get.
I think sometimes too people forget, I think you get so focused on your opposition player when you're playing that you forget that you're often competing against your teammates too for that position. So I know in our club we've had a lot of that in terms of selection, that you're not actually competing, it's not what level you're capable of playing at, it's who's in that position in front of you. So it's the same thing when it comes to court time.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. You've got to consider, like you said, other people who can play in that particular position. Combinations.
Just how they're going on the day too.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's
so many factors.
It's a very fine line to walk to between fairness and winning.
And can I also shout out that I would say 99% of the coaches that are within our competition probably volunteer their time. It is extremely difficult to have that balance between wanting to win the game, doing the right thing by your players, having it fair and reasonable, all of those things. And we understand that players are people, we're people as well as coaches. And so, just consider how difficult it is sometimes for a coach to keep a player on the bench. We can see you in the corner of our eye looking disappointed, But we don't want them to be feeling like that either.
Exactly, and you're an addition. Just if you're on the bench, you're an additional player on the bench. Your attitude on the bench says a lot for
100%.
What your coach is going to use you towards. If you've got a great attitude on the bench, they're not going to want to stand you off. They're only going to stand you off if they need to, or if something's not working, change it up. But if you go off and then you suck in.
I know there's someone grumpy on the sidelines. Very little chance you're getting back on the court.
Okay, well, that's your attitude.
Yeah, because you'll bring that attitude back onto the court, and then that will probably flick back to the last conversation that we had about umpiring and things like that. It all just stems and snowballs around.
That's a good question. I think just if you're honest talking, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a coach. If you want to talk it through with someone else, there's plenty of people I know at each club that are around for all games, so they may even have a different perspective on it first, that you can get some confidence, and then just have a chat with your coach about it.
And if you can't talk to your coach, I know that most clubs have a senior or a head coach, and we have a player advocate as well, so that if there's something that you feel that you can't talk to your coach directly about, that there's a third person that you can bring that to their attention, and they can do that whether it be anonymously or whether it be disclosing the conversation. But if that's not in place at your clubs, all of the head coaches around there, maybe put that in place just so that you can have those conversations, because you know what? We're playing this for fun, and you don't want to be on the side.
Well, we hope that helps you. I hope that helps your question. Moving on now, we've got a video that we've had submitted. So this is fast feet being practiced in a different way.
Oh my god! They're not bad! Don't hit the... Not the cracker! Credit where credit is due! It's those netball skills!
And what a great video that was from Emily and Michaela at Coringal with their fast feet dancing movements.
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. A little bit of a different way to practice it. I know my players can sometimes be a little bit slow on their feet, so it might take some
dancing skills.
Love it.
All right, and next up we're just going to have a look at the banner that was down at Somerville on Saturday for Maddie Roberts' 150th game. So it was a pretty impressive banner. She was pretty mortified, I think, originally when she saw that there was photos attached. If you've got any players that are coming up to their milestones and they have fantastic banners made, whether it's something that's been done in their backyard or you know,
a little bit more professional,
crepe paper, or if it's a professional one, a little bit like what we did for Maddie, send them through because it is a fantastic achievement and would love to celebrate it.
Fantastic.
Well done. Congratulations. So there was a few celebrations last week.
Yes.
Yeah, there was lots, and make sure you do contact the GameFace page as well so that we can put your posts up too.
A little bit of extra airtime for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, next up we have my poor Jay. I can't bring myself to look at the
This is
photo. It does look a bit awful there, but she is kicking goals in her rehab. So
that's good news.
Each day she gets to bend her hands a little bit more in the cast. So, you know, it's a bit of a gruesome pick. It isn't for the faint-hearted, but, you know, we saw her. She's only got a little cast on now.
Brilliant.
Brace, so she's getting there.
It's amazing the skills of the medical world. All right, and lastly, we've got some footage of Maria. Maria is just returning from an ACL injury, and we had a bit of a wet timetable training on a couple of weeks ago. So rather than being put out, Maria jumped into the boys' change rooms with a couple of the girls, and used the elastics to to do some change of direction and some stability work. A little of the unusual, obviously physios come up with amazing things for us to do during our rehab. So here's some footage of Maria doing hers.
Fantastic. So thanks so much, guys, for those of you that have sent through submissions. Don't forget to get them through to the GameFace page directly with anything that you've got for us for next week. We look forward to seeing what you have in store.
And moving on to our next segment, Sammy, our famous rumour file. What's
Yes.
up for us this week, Christy?
Okay. Well, guess what, girls?
What?
It's looking a bit sad.
We have not had any rumours come through
Surely
to Game.
that's a lie.
We have not had any rumours come through to GameFace. All right, guys. So don't forget to send in your rumours because we do love this segment. And
you keep coming up to us and saying you've got rumours, so we can't actually say them if you don't give them to us.
That's right. So we're happy for them to come through to GameFace. All three of us will accept them via private message as well. If you'd like to send them through to us, we will keep your details anonymous. But yeah, let's have a listen to what's going on out there and send us through some juicy gossip.
Okay, so moving on now, guys, we'll have a look at the games we've got coming up tomorrow. What have we got in Div 2, Christy?
Well, we don't have a full board of games on tomorrow because some of the clubs did play this round earlier on in the season. So finally, after the end of these games, we'll be able to have an even ladder because at the moment they're
a bit off kilter.
Yeah, some teams that have played extra games. So the games that I'm going to call out for tomorrow, Hastings versus Crib Point, so first versus third in A grade. So I think that will be a great game down at Hastings. So I'm going to tip Crib Point for that one. And also in A grade, Tyab versus Seaford. So Tyab had a loss last week, and Seaford is sitting second on the ladder in A grade, but I don't know, I just think Tyab have got the experience potentially to get across the line. So that'll be maybe an upset if they do, but I'm going to tip Tyab for a home game win there. And the other one is going to be Chelsea versus Somerville in the B grade. Now, Somerville sitting second on the ladder and Chelsea sixth, but it is Somerville's ball. Sometimes the girls can get a little bit distracted about what's going on after
it's not some of your players from the rumour last week, is it, Chrissy? Taking the game off to get ready?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, so they can potentially get a little bit distracted. So it might be an opportunity for Chelsea to come out and...
Might be thinking about how they're wearing their hair or how the eyes are going to happen. If they're going glam, wings.
I'll do a shout out to Jamie Penny, who plays A grade, who a few years ago actually got her hair done prior to the game to be able to go to the ball.
I could
We
not
actually
cope
had
with
this conversation on Saturday because I was like,
Where do we
one
have
of the
the
girls had
time?
immaculate hair and she played a full game, and I was like,
Yep.
my hair would look like a frisball if I did that. And like some
She
some
had
girls
she
would be
had it
lucky.
styled with braids and everything like that, so it was a little bit easier to maintain. But so no, it wasn't any of my girls, Sam. But that's the other game too that I think potentially, because we haven't played Chelsea yet, and I think that might be a really tough game.
You're warned now, girls. Get on the ball.
But otherwise, I just think that it's probably just going to be a good even round for Div 2.
Fantastic. And Div 1, Lou?
So my match of the round in A grade this week will be Mornington EDS. So
It's a scary one for us.
1 versus 4. Mornington just keep going strength for strength, putting the wins on the board. So it's going to be a really good game, and could be an upset. I think ED are coming off some strong games, and
We're putting a few good games together now, which is really good to see. But they will be a very big test.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. But I do think Mornington will just get across the line. But it'll be a great game. Sorrento versus YC across the board are going to have some ripping games. I know the YC A grade girls are just really wanting to get another win across the board in these close games. So I think they lost each quarter last time we met them by 3. So that's their aim, just to peg that back. So I think the A grade is going to be a cracker. B grade is 2nd versus 4th, so that's going to be another great game. C grade is a little bit more between the teams, and I don't think Sorrento have got a win. So hopefully my girls don't lose the plot.
Yeah, look out for the upset.
And D grade's 3rd versus 4th, so they're going to be some great games.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other one that I think will be an interesting one this week is Bond Beach versus Frankston. So a couple of teams yet to get a win, so they'll be trying to get that across the line.
They'll be needing the different coloured bibs down there, Bond Beach versus Frankston. It'll be a lot of red and black going on there.
Something bright to break it up anyway. So there should be certainly some good netball out there tomorrow, and make sure you do check out our Swordfish game of the round, which we've pegged actually as Bond Beach versus Frankston Bombers in the D grade. So
I'm
yes.
sure there'll be a lot of players trying to get their pizza and wine voucher.
Absolutely. So we'll be keeping an eye on you girls, so get your GameFace on and we'll be watching.
Brilliant.
So that's all we've got for tonight's show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, a shout out to our sponsors, Frankie Media, Swivs Locker, and Swordfish Wine Bar and Tapas.
See you next week.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.